Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 267th episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So coincidentally, the title for today's album is very similar to the previous video I did for Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop by Diamond D, because this too is an LP where the name takes the route of something, something, and something, as we're covering the fourth studio full length by the iconic group A Tribe Called Quest, 1996's Beats, Rhymes, and Life. This was an interesting and somewhat divisive project in this iconic group's discography because all three of the albums that came before it were released within 3 to 4 years of each other, those being Tribe's 1990 debut, People's Instinctive Travels, and The Paths of Rhythm, along with their two undeniable masterpieces, 1991's The Low End Theory and 1993's Midnight Marauders, both of which I've discussed on the channel before and I'll leave links to down below in the description. Their next release here wouldn't end up coming out for another 3 to 4 years, but considering there was nearly 20 years in between 1998's The Love Movement and their 2016 return/send-off album, We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, another high point in their career that I also discussed on the page, I feel like A Tribe Called Quest has proved that they can make classic material, regardless of the time frame in between the output. Beats, Rhymes, and Life may get acknowledged a bit more than the LP that followed it, but it still remains one of the more contentious projects in their discography when it comes to how certain Tribe fans feel about it, and I've definitely heard a good amount of people going either way with their opinion on this thing. I think a good amount of that can be attributed to the addition of Q-Tip's cousin, Consequence, which I know rubbed certain fans in the wrong direction, but I've always thought Con was an insanely talented rapper, with a pretty unique and identifiable flow and voice, along with a clearly above-average pen. Personally, I always found their fourth album here a bit underrated, and like virtually every other release they had to their name, I grew attached and started playing it consistently pretty much right after the first time I ever checked it out. I also feel like A Tribe Called Quest needs to be examined due to just how amazing virtually every starting track for every album they've ever dropped is, because Phony Rappers is one of my favorite songs the group ever created, and the same goes for other intro songs like Excursions or Steve Biko Stir It Up, which technically follows up the short little Midnight Marauders tour guide intro. But that too is such an iconic way of opening a project, you really can't go wrong no matter how you slice it. The Space Program intro from their final album is top tier as well, but I want to hone in on Phony Rappers, which of course is the introductory song that takes us into Beats, Rhymes, and Life. Not only does this track bring in a jazzy and smoky atmosphere right from the jump, with ominous keys that sound like they could have been lifted off a Herbie Hancock deep cut, but we also get some killer conceptual verses from Q-Tip and the late legend Phife Dawg, where they take turns detailing their stories of having to battle some quote-unquote phony rappers, while each going about their respective day. The abstract starts us off here, and I absolutely adore the way he went about structuring his flow at the beginning of his verse, because there's a point where in the middle of rapping, he sort of trails off for a second in a way that almost seems improvised, which he does again while imitating the whack MC who tried to battle him, before coming right back in on the beat without missing a step. It would be better to just show you instead of describing it, so I'm going to share the part where Tip says, "Yo, I was riding the train, and this Puerto Rican kid said simple and plain, let's battle. It kinda took me by surprise, cause the brother was moving with his eyes on the prize. I said screw it. I ain't got nothing to lose, but I gotta do this shit real quick, so hurry up kid, bust your joints and then I'll bust mine. And I be out cause I gotta see this hottie." He said okay. Now check it, blah 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 blah, that's what he said, and then I came back and just fucked up his head. Cause yo, he thought an MC who was seen on TV couldn't hold the shit down in New York City. Hey yo, I showed his ass, then I went off on my task. To bless her ass uptown, real MCs will hold it down. Yeah, yeah, sonny, to the beat like that. You wanna bring it to me? Where you at? Then we get Fife stepping in without a second to waste, adding on to Q-Tip's story with one of his own, saying, "Yes, Dread, I had a similar situation. When this kid tried to tell me I didn't deserve my occupation. He said I wasn't shit, that I was soon to fall. I looked him up and down, grabbed my crotch and said balls." Of course he tried to bring it on the battling tip, and you know me. You know I had to come out my shit. Trying to lounge at the mall, meet Skeff and Mr. Walton. Finally I banged his ass with the verbal assault. He said a rhyme about his 45 and nickel bags of weed. That's when I proceeded to give him what he needed. Talking about, I need a Philly right before I get loose. Poor excuse. Money please, I get loose off of orange juice. Preferably Minute Maid, cause that's exactly what it takes to write a rhyme, huh? To school your nickels and your dimes. Because an MC like me be on TV, don't mean I can't hold my shit down in NYC. This album was pretty much entirely masterminded sonically by the production crew, the UMA, outside of one lone track that was handled by Rashad Smith. The only two guest appearances on Beats, Rhymes, and Life are Tammy Lucas and Faith Evans, though that's again if you don't count Consequence, who, as I mentioned earlier, has a pretty constant presence on this LP, but from what I can find, he isn't really listed as a featured artist on any of the credits, which I would assume is because he was technically an honorary member at this time. When it comes to my top 3 favorite tracks overall on this one, I'm going to skip over Phony Rappers since I discussed it so much, and instead name songs like Get a Hold, Once Again, and Mind Power. Then for the honorable mentions, I have to shout out The Hop, Stressed Out, Motivators, The Jam, Baby Fife's Return, Wordplay, Rue, and What Really Goes On. Thank you for watching my 267th video. Next up, I'm going to switch things around a little bit and do an album that's much more underground than any of the other picks in this group. So look for that upload, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite songs off this must listen from Tribe are. So don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay?